So you have to tell the client, yeah, this is the way the law is, actuals or this. You decide what you are going to pay. So there is a issue here, and many people don't pay. They will simply go pay 75%, they will pay VAT, 25% they pay service tax. This proposition was good law until 1/7/2012. There was even a couple of tribunal decisions with Pro-G medical system and all which confirmed this. But subsequent to that, there was a notification called I think 12/2003. 12/2003. That was withdrawn in the year 2012. So that notification helped till that time. After that it is withdrawn, so you cannot use it. Now you have to go under either of these. It also has specific exclusions. You don't want to take all this 40% and all. You go on actual basis. This is very, very cumbersome in my view and may lead to some problems with the department. Because you will have to prove all these. It says specific inclusions, specific exclusions. This becomes a very cumbersome method. Like in VAT also you have this possibility. You can prove the value of all the services and exclude it from VAT. Correct? There is a provision in West Bengal VAT law also that you can go to the gross value of contract. From that you remove all the service portions, the consumable portions, where there is no transfer of property, all that, then add gross profit, deduct it from the gross amount, and still it will be understood as an actual transfer. Same thing is available under service tax also. These are all based on the very old case of Gannon Dunkerley, which is an amazing decision. Let's look at SENVAT credit. Sir, whenever food is ready, you should tell us, huh? Because your half an hour is gone long back. It's ready?
Yes.
SENVAT credit very interesting. And वो क्या होता है, थोड़ा interesting ज़्यादा रहे तो नींद नहीं आता है. So maybe we'll keep post lunch. Let's break for lunch. Thank you. First charge also covered here, an exemption also, sir. Eligibility of SENVAT credit is very important. As I said, wherever you pay tax on the output, whatever you do, credit is very important. And in which cases you can take credit. Let's look at first the provisions. On input services, you can get credit. There are also a lot of conditions which you may have to refer to the provisions, refer to commentary for understanding all. But one or two aspects I want to bring up. For example, there is a hotel. Now a hotel, they say that you should pay service tax on 40%. 60% they say you need not pay. The question is, if I am having input credit of 100 rupees or whatever, 2 lakh rupees, can I take 2 lakh credit or should I take only 80,000? If you go to the exempted service definition, the exempted service definition says that a service is exempted only if the input and input credit and is very important, and input service credit is not available. If you go to the abatement notification for this hotel, it does not say that. So therefore, credit is available. That is not an exempted. That 60% is not an exempted service. And if it is not an exempted service, then you are eligible for 100%. So all hotels, theoretically, under the law, as per my understanding, can take 100% credit. They need not reverse any credit. Unless they have some sales. Some hotels sell something also. Cakes they sell, some other things they sell. So that to the extent of sales, there may be some reduction, but otherwise they are eligible. That 60% on which they don't pay does not become an exempted service. So this is a very important aspect of input service. There are many other input service issues are there. Then inputs. Inputs in normal course are available for service provider. For example, I am doing queries. I am doing some querying. Querying means I blast rocks and I bring it up. Now this querying service requires explosives, and explosives are not transferred under VAT. Explosives are consumed. When I do the querying, explosives are used. So instead of claiming deduction under any other provision, I can go straight away for paying the service tax on the gross amount. I can pay a service tax including the value of explosives. Why? So that the excise duty which is paid on explosives, 12.5%, I can take credit. And my customer may be Singareni Collieries or some coal industry, then that person can take that credit further. So this is a very good tax planning, where you choose to pay. You may say, sir, my contract is not including explosives. Explosives are provided by the customer. Let him provide the explosives. Consign it to you. What you will do is, your contract is for 10 crores. Material, explosive supplied is 20 crores. So 20 crores let him send you by way of a challan. Not sale, transfer. Usage, for your usage, along with the excise duty document. He can be a registered dealer. For being a dealer, it takes 15 minutes to upload and become a dealer. Once you have dealer's registration, issue an invoice. For the purpose of querying, I am providing 20 crores worth of material to Madhukar Explosives Limited. Madhukar Explosives will take credit. And when billing, my contract is only 10 crores. So my billing will come, blasting of rocks 10 crores, and value of material used in blasting of rocks 20 crores. On 30 crores I will charge the excise service tax. So now what has happened? That explosives credit has come to Coal India or to Singareni Collieries. This is just an example. How sometimes you taking full credit and paying on the gross amount rather than claiming any exemption for service tax can be a good tax planning device. It will add value to the client. Capital goods, again a place where there is tremendous amount of advantage. I should tell you, as far as inputs are concerned, I have put X here. Why? Because we are talking on works contract now. The example I gave you is not a works contract. If it is in works contract, you can't get. Cement, steel credit is barred under this environment credit rule. It should not be barred in my view, but I am not the finance minister. So at present it is barred. In GST it may not be barred, is what I expect. As far as capital goods are concerned, capital goods have an even better footing. It says capital goods which are used in providing service. And the condition is that capital goods should not be exclusively used for exempted service. The word exclusively used is very, very important. For example, I am doing commercial buildings in Kolkata. I also am doing for whole of South, Northeast, all the roads also I do. So my turnover is 200 crores. 190 crores I am doing only roads, on which there is no service tax, it's exempted. 10 crores I am doing commercial building. All the capital goods which I can use in the commercial building, I will be eligible for credit, provided it comes to the commercial place and is used. For example, when I get a bulldozer, first I will take it to the commercial building, take photograph, everything to prove that it has come, keep all transport documents to show that it has reached my place. All this I will take due care, because otherwise department will say reverse the credit. So I will ensure that it is used in my commercial project, then it can go to any other project where it's exempted. Because the condition is it should not be used exclusively for exempted service. Thank you. So that is an advantage of capital goods credit. I'll give you one more example. I was doing one work for one company which was doing this, Aadhaar scheme where they are trying to connect the villagers to the central server so that they can get some benefits through the banks and some other schemes. So this company was, the turnover was huge. 400 crores was the turnover of this company. And when I went for the audit, as usual we were checking compliances first. We found they were paying everything. Then while we were doing this, I saw a debit note somewhere in between, where the customer has purchased some handheld device and supplied it to the bank. Had taken a handheld device and given it to him. So I asked him, this customer is providing this, why customer has to purchase? If you purchase, you can take credit. He said, 1 lakh pieces I have purchased, sir. This is only one debit note you have seen. I said, you can take credit on that, 1 lakh. Each of those devices were 5,000 rupees. Into whatever the 12.36% at that time in excise, now it's 12.5. What is the amount? He got my audit fees 1,000 times, whatever I had charged him. 1,000 times was the valuation in that one service. So what I am trying to say, capital goods credit can be a very big thing. Even if it is used, you can take it. You should remember, you don't have to own it. Recently I was doing a job, a work for a courier company. And you know how much, I just went for the discussion and I had quoted some 5-6 lakhs for the review. He said, sir, आपका fees बहुत ज़्यादा है sir. I told him, balance sheet लेके आओ. He said, balance sheet से क्या sir? आप previous auditor का fees देखेंगे क्या? हमने नहीं कराया ये indirect tax, service tax review नहीं कराया. I said, no, get your balance sheet, nothing to do with fees. So he got the balance sheet, I looked at it, there was 70 crores was truck hire. Truck hire. So I told him, ये आप सेगमेंट क्रेडिट ऑन ट्रक्स ले रहे हैं? सर वो तो हायर है, मेरा नहीं है, ट्रक किसी और का है. हाँ भैया, उस पर सर्विस टैक्स तो चार्ज कर सकता था ना. He could have given under tangible goods, he could have given that credit to you. नहीं सर वो तो क्रेडिट नहीं लेगा ना. मैं बोल रहा हूँ ले लो ना. He said वो तो हो सकता है क्योंकि वो फाइनेंस के लिए भी मेरे पास ही आता है. I am only arranging finance for him to get that vehicle. So I said why he can't take the credit? I asked him how much is his investment in trucks. Last year I think it was about 80 crores sir. ये साल 100 करोड़ हो जाएगा. 100 करोड़ का एक्साइज ड्यूटी कितना हुआ व्हीकल्स पर? Average 18% you keep. 18 crores. I said 18 crores, let him take credit, let him charge service tax to you till 18 crores. After that he can go back to your old scheme. Because you are using that capital good for providing your logistic service and on that you are paying full service tax. If you are a GTA you can't, but if you are a courier agency or a freight and forwarding agency, you can take credit of that also. Even though he is the person who is bought that material, he can take credit. Assume you are taking it. You get into financial arrangement with somebody who owns that particular truck. Then what you can do? You have to see that it's registered in your name, because the condition for taking credit on motor vehicles which are used for providing service is available only for some people. You and me cannot buy a car and take this advance credit for a car. It's only available for certain services. Courier service, as a construction service. There are few services, I think there are about 8 or 9 directly. Indirectly you can add another 10 or 15, maybe 20-25 services में आपको vehicles पर credit मिल सकता है directly or indirectly. So this capital goods is a huge again area of possibility. Huge area. So this, as I was saying, when I look at this particular area, it is full of opportunity. Opportunity for giving benefit to the client and reducing his cost, adding to his margin within the law. Anyway, Sunmat credit should be a one-day workshop. Cannot be. I cannot explain Sunmat credit because there are many things in Sunmat. First we have to tell the base of Sunmat, both jada hai, which I cannot do today. Many of you asked RCM also, partial reverse charge. So here the question is that when the contractor charges you that particular amount, then what happens? You have to go back to see what the contractor is. The subcontractor, whether he is a company. If he is a company, he has to charge full service tax. He doesn't have any facility. If he is any of these people, HUF, individual, partnership firm, registered or not, even a registered partnership firm, then he needs to charge only on 50%. You may say, sir, वो तो छोटा आदमी वो नहीं charge करेगा. Then leave it to him. You have to pay 50% as a receiver of service who is a body corporate. तो हमारे एक दो client हैं जो 1000 करोड़ कर रहे हैं. For them RCM is a big amount. Like you said just now, what can I do? My input credits are wasted. So what I told, you become a proprietary firm. You become a partnership from a company and it was worth it for them. They converted into partnership to avoid paying RCM. The person providing service also is an individual or a partnership. I am also a partnership. I don't have to pay under reverse charge, so I don't have to pay at all. So there are a lot of tax planning possible here also. आपका exempt projects में भी हो सकता है. In fact, one more issue which can be related to this RCM is manpower supply. Manpower supply, what do you say? You are saying that where the person is provided to you, you have to pay on 75%, he will pay on 25%. So if a particular activity is a manpower supply and your output is exempted, it's a cost for you. Say you are manufacturing exempted goods, you are providing exempted service like you said, your projects and all, then it is a major cost. In such cases, what you can do? Give him piecework. Why you want manpower supply? Let him have the responsibility. What is the difference between job and manpower? Is only responsibility. The word responsibility. Many projects are there. If you look at many projects of big builders, they are paying on RCM, but if you go to the project and ask them how this RCM is working, you will find it is job work actually. They have a measurement book based on which that manpower supplier is paid. It is not paid on number of people coming, because no businessman will pay on people coming. He will pay on work. So there is a measurement book which says that on this particular day so and so square feet of plastering was done. Then why are you calling it manpower supply? Actually it is plastering work. So give him a contract for plastering work, and as per your measurement book which proves that it is payment is made based on progress, you don't have to pay RCM. That fellow is a small fellow. So he will not, even if you are a corporate, he is a small fellow, he is not providing manpower, he is doing the job itself.
But he is liable to charge service tax?
No, if it is pure labor, where he will be charging? Only if it is works contract, 50% comes. If it is pure labor, there is no RCM.
RCM नहीं है, but service tax तो रहेगा इनको.
हाँ भाई, वो तो छोटा आदमी है ना, 10 लाख नहीं होता है ना उसका. आप जाइए कोई बड़े प्रोजेक्ट को जाके actually that is also something I want to tell. How we do audit? Do we do audit sitting in our office? No. We do audit by going to the place. So if you have got a big client, big consultancy, don't give consultancy until you send somebody with a checklist and find out how it works. This particular thing was a very big developer, one of the biggest developers in India, came to me with this query. I told him, don't explain anything to me. मैं एक लड़की को बुलाया, लक्ष्मी, तुम जाओ उसके साथ, जाओ देख के आओ क्या हो रहा है. She reported back in 2 hours that says what they are doing, they are paying manpower, but it's not manpower, it's actually job. खत्म, उसका RCM का query खत्म हो गया. Because she went and visited the spot and saw how exactly they are doing, how they are entering into contract and how they are paying. All we have to do is nomenclate that particular voucher differently. And that nomenclature was not against what is happening. Remember, never put any documentation which is not the truth. One of the ways to have a powerful practice is never to tell lies to department. But Ashwatthama चलता है. Ashwatthama मालूम है ना? वो चलता है. Tell them half the thing and leave it to them to understand. Let them ask if they want. They don't ask. ठीक है, वैसे चलता है. Ashwatthama चलता है. But no untruths. Untruths can put you into a problem also.
But if it is a real manpower supply,
then you can't do this.
75% work can be taken as input credit or not?
It can be taken, but his problem is for government. That's why I pointed to him when I said it. You can take it as input credit 100%. His 25%, if he pays, your 75% you can take as credit, provided your service is taxable. His point was government contract में हम tax नहीं भरते हैं तो all the amounts I pay are all cost service tax. So I am giving him some way out. I am using his example to show you where it is exempt also there is some tax planning possible. So in this case it's 50-50. So what happens if that fellow doesn't pay? You still have to pay. Service provider does not pay. He is a small fellow. Your 50% you have to pay. If you don't pay, interest penalty and everything will come to you.
Sir,
right? Yes, sir.
I had a small doubt in RCM. So there are some doubts regarding whether RCM is payable on advances also. So I just got a pro forma invoice on which I made the payment to the works contractor for 50 lakhs. Now there are two views. The one view is saying that you don't have to pay RCM since it's an advance and I have not got the invoice. Though I know that it's a works contract because from the view I can see. And the other opinion is only when you get the bill that you have to pay.
I'll tell you where the doubt comes. The doubt comes from VAT. Again, that's why I wanted VAT to be before me, so that I don't have to explain VAT. Under VAT law, at least in Karnataka, and mostly applicable to West Bengal also. On mobilization advance, there is no VAT to be paid. Only आप खुदाई शुरू करो, उसके बाद शुरू होता है. When there is a transfer of property, एक brick ले कर दो, पूरा liability आ जाता है. This is the philosophy from VAT. As far as service tax is concerned, there is no such philosophy. You receive the money, you have to pay. You raise the invoice, you have to pay. You complete the work, you have to pay. These are the three criteria. Only when there is a change in rate, the activity becomes taxable for the first time. Then out of these three, any two should apply, and which period it falls. Whether it falls in the previous period where it was exempt, or lower rate, and it falls into the next period where there is an increase in rate or it's liable. That will apply only when there is a change in rate or exemption becomes taxable. Otherwise, the rule is one of the first. You provide the service, you have to pay, whether you bill or not. You raise the bill, whether you have provided the service or you have received the payment, you have to pay. If you receive the advance, whether you have provided the service or raised the bill, doesn't matter, you have to pay. So my view is very clear. I don't think there is any ambiguity. So if you have heard wrongly, if you have heard, in my view, what you said is not correct. If you receive advance, you have to pay. Only thing is, you should raise an invoice on him. Come tax benefit करके कर लो.
No sir, my question was reverse. I am making the payment to the vendor.
Same thing, na.
So that was
So you should ask the vendor to raise the bill on you so that you can take the credit. It's the opposite, that's all. And yes,
One query in work contract service.
pardon?
One query in work contract service.
Ask me.
Suppose in a construction work, there are smaller contractors are there who are actually doing just a construction job is there, but they are supplying some type of consumables. But
Yeah.
the main materials it is being supplied by the main
In that case, it's not a works contract, it's a labor contract. See, works contract is only if there is a transfer of property in goods. If it is only consumables usage, it is not a transfer of property. And if it is not a transfer of property, it is pure labor. If it is pure labor, it's not a works contract. If it is not works contract, ये 50-50 apply नहीं होता है. In fact, you can even plan it that way. Your contract, all the subcontractor is supply the material. So he will only charge labor. If he pays service tax, it's a cost. If he doesn't pay service tax, you are not concerned with it anymore.
in such case the billing is being paid as a square feet.
Whatever it is, even a square feet, ना आप मेरे को बोलते हो ये हॉल को पेंट करो, पेंट मैं देता हूँ. I'm just coming with brush. Brush is a consumable. I may use 10 brushes to, put this building, but I am not giving the brush to you. There is no transfer of property. You are giving me paint, I am painting, and I am giving it back. So it's a pure labor job. In such case, it's not a works contract. ये जो law है 50% will not apply to you.
And also not a manpower supply.
Certainly not a manpower supply because your contract is for painting.
But
Yes, sir.
in the work contract, like whatever work order it has been issued to the contractor, it is written that all the work should be done in presence of engineer in charge. So
That doesn't matter.
to such statement,
It doesn't matter. It may have to be done in the presence of the supervisor. But is there a penalty for doing bad work? No, let me finish his question because that's a very important question he asked. See, I don't know if you realize how important his question was. His question was that you are saying it is pure labor job, but actually there is a supervisor there who sees whether you are doing properly or not. If I don't do properly, what happens? I have to redo it, no?
yeah.
I don't get paid for it. So whose responsibility is it to do the work properly? It is my responsibility. But company puts a person, supervisor, to see that I am efficient, I don't lose time and money. You understand? Therefore, it is still a pure labor job. It is not a manpower supply. Manpower supply is when the responsibility for the work is with the company itself. For example, in this case, I will keep doing the job. If I don't do properly, he will say, "Arey, aur ek baar karo." I will do it, keep on doing. One job which painting this room will take 2 days, I will take 10 days. I will take salary for 10 days. That is a manpower supply. But if you are going to charge me, you say, "आप जितना भी दिन करो, ये square feet पर इतना है," then it is obviously responsibility is mine. And in such case, it will be pure labor job if you supply all the material. Yes, somebody, I think you asked a question.
construction of residential property will be charged on 40% or 25%, because it is separately covered under 25%.
Actually, the valuation, I think I missed that out. Thanks for, I will tell the answer for that. He is asking, because there is an exemption also, alternative exemption, which I don't use at all, so I have almost, it's gone from my memory. What he's asking is, can I pay on 25%? The answer is, there is a provision, there is a notification which says, you can pay on 25%, but normally, if you have to pay on 25%, you have to take the gross value, including the value of land. And today, in any metro, the cost of land is much more than the cost of construction. And therefore, it may be not so good, not so economic method to pay on 25%. But yes, you can pay on 25%.
So most of the companies, small companies are charging 3.09% of service tax.
Sir, that is why they are remaining small. Because they are losing out on taxes. What you are saying is correct. But that is not a tax efficient way, because you are paying on the land also. For example, here in your place only, 5,000 is the rate of construction, the flat. How much will be construction in that? It can be at maximum 2,500. Maximum. But you are paying on 2,500, 5% is less, or on 5,000, 3%, 25%, 3% is less. Simple calculation. Obviously, when you take the deduction for land, when you take the deduction for material, it's much better option is the 40% rather than the 3%.
So that the company should charge 4.995%.
4.944 you have to charge.
That should be charged.
Yes, no, I'm not saying they should charge. I'm saying that's an option. Aapko do option hai, you have to choose option by putting Excel sheet. Simple. We shouldn't get into any, हम तो accountant है, जाओ Excel sheet, देखो कौन सा ज़्यादा आता है. That's it. Why do you get into any other thing? We don't have to get into which is better. मधुकर ने बोला करके मत करो. Excel डाल दो. Which is better? Whichever is better, opt for it. And tell the department you're opting for it. Project to project you can change also, as far as service tax is concerned. Even though you have been following 25%, now onwards for the new project you can go for 40%. But then value of land should be taken off. I give you one classic example of how it can work. I took this example with sir, right? 10 acres he gave me. I hope he had. Then I would have retired today itself. Yeah, sir. And he has it since. That's the best part. So assume, we'll go back to his example. In his example, he gave me 10 acres. And I am supposed to give him back how much? 60%. So say I am charging 5,000 rupees. I will take the same rate which sir told. In Calcutta, most flats will be 5,000. You are sitting different place that time. So that's why I pointed to the wrong person. So he said 5,000. Now for me land is straight 3,000. Why? 60% of my construction I am giving it to him. So the land obviously is 60% of whatever I realize. Undivided interest in land should be 60. Can you now see how much difference it will make? 40% is construction. On 40% I have to pay 5%. How much is 5% on 40%? Sir, pink shirt. 2%. Whereas there we are paying 3%. Correct? So it's an advantage. So I have taken his example and shown you how it can be even better. Let's get into exemptions. It's called mega exemption, but actually it is not so mega is what this girl, whoever has done it, is your Orissa girl has felt. Is this really mega? She feels. Because we have excise exemptions in which it goes to some 496 serial number. Here to 40 bhi nahi. It was named like that, that's why she has put. Is it really mega she has put? These are, people like me can never think of this. Younger people can think of it. Mega exemption has got restricted. What sir was referring to, many exemptions which should have been there have been removed. It's a question of window dressing of the government of India. On one side they are charging service tax, on the other side they are paying service tax. This is all that's happening. If I am providing services to the government and I have to pay tax, on one side they are paying the service tax to me, on the other side they are taking the service tax.